Just give a minute. Work on this coffee. Um, a little bit too hot, but we'll get there. Um, okay, let's just go over a couple of these things that we talked about yesterday and just see where we want to start. We'll just go one by one and see what it sparks. What do you think?
Not sure exactly what that one means.
Okay. All right. So, reflection of our sizing. So, that's, I mean, and that honestly is an excellent way of starting. Is basically you pushing back on one of my notes. So, all right. So, okay. So the shapes that we can have are they're just going to be linear. They're going to be polar or condensed.
Oh, okay. Now I know what you mean.
Um, so like a decent example. Um,
Narrow arrow.
narrow arrow. Yeah, like a so like when a button's flatting, they're condensed. But then that's not really reflecting a size right now. But
No, but the shape of the range correlates to the size, right? Like we always have the triangles. We have the little bomber looking thing, stealth bomber. We got the narrow arrow, and I mean that should lead you towards linear, or polar, or condensed, and kind of guide you towards an appropriate sizing.
yeah, yeah. So like whether if you can understand if you're betting like linearly post flop, it might be like a range bet. And we might be betting small. If you understand that
Yep.
you're polar and you have a big checking range, you might not have an equity advantage. You are probably playing like a check and big range, and then condensed is more of like a shape, not necessarily reflecting sizings, but
Right.
anyways,
More the shape.
yeah. Let's just keep going, and then okay. Um, so the our style is a byproduct of our understanding. So we can't ask people to do something that they're uncomfortable doing. It's just based on like how you see the game, the framework that you use to make decisions. Anything you want to add to that?
Uh, no, not too much.
Okay. All right. This is one of my favorite ones. Strategy. Um, we need to be able to execute a strategy blindly in an environment with zero information. And it's good and it's optimal. Any thoughts? Okay.
Um,
I hope that Jordan is here. Jordan, if you're here, use the chat box. Thanks for being here. Um,
um, I think how to word it, but something along the lines of defaults can be like constantly changing. It's not that it's necessarily static, but it's still like a new strategy to execute. But
in the context of poker, I know what you're saying. We talked about this yesterday. Um, yeah, we talked about this yesterday. So,
right.
okay, but regarding our defaults when it comes to poker, um, our defaults are GTO though, right? I mean, there isn't an other way unless like we're countering.
Um, us specifically, or like, do you think, or like, because I do think population might look at it different.
Okay, if you started expanding on your low jack opening range, and you
Mhm.
decided to start playing 3-4 suited down to king 3 suited, queen 7, it's probably because you see something. It's not optimal.
Right.
Okay, so you're able to do that. I think that comes with time, but not
Yep.
everybody should be trying to do anything other than learning optimal first, uh, so that we can spot a mistake easier. Um, And so, like, what would cause us? I'm just kind of trying to riff off of these things here. So, all right. So we need to be able to execute a strategy blindly in an environment with zero information. Um, that strategy is given to us in a solver. The solver is completely transparent. All ranges, all positions, all stack depths. They're aware of each other's combos. So this is what's optimal here. This opening range here in the hijack, for example. Let me switch this over to tells you that these hands are making a certain amount of big blinds per open. So Jack 7 suited makes a 10th just by opening against a perfect cutoff button, small and big blind. The hands that are making 0, more of a board coverage type of thing because these hands aren't making any money. So if you choose to fold, it makes 0. If you choose to open king nine off in this theoretical world, it makes 0. So these optimal ranges are important because we need to be able to spot mistakes. So what would cause us to either contract our range or expand our range? Like, why expand?
Is
Why contract? Why do any of these?
I think the main reason to contract is ICM implications.
Okay.
Uh,
So we would tighten our range basically, right? Tighten
Yep.
under some ICM pressures, maybe. Okay.
Yep.
What else?
Um,
Or expand or change sizes. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what we go with.
right.
But
I was just focusing on Titan first, and then
sure.
go to the other side. But high percent 3-better behind us.
Excellent.
Might just
Sure. So
cut off some of the opens.
okay, so let me just write reasons. Oh, you can't see my notepad, huh?
No, I do.
Oh, I'm sharing my screen. That's right. Okay, so reasons for Titan. Yeah, I got tripped out for a second. Okay, so reasons for tightening our opens. I guess away from optimal. I know this is a lot of word vomit here. So we're under some ICM pressure. We have a loose 3-better. Is that what you said? Loose 3-better behind?
High percentage 3-better.
Okay.
I wouldn't necessarily say loose, but
High
that usually correlates to that.
percentage 3-better. Okay. Reasons for tightening. Under ICM pressure, high percentage 3-better. Anything else? I will add just players who outclass us. If I'm playing the best in the world, even let's just say I'm the hijack. If the best in the world's sitting on the button, I'm less than 29.4%. If he's big blind, I mean, I'm not going like too much tighter, but he's going to find a lot of 3-bets. He's going to find a good amount of check raises, optimal amount of check raises. He's going to put me in some bad spots that maybe other players wouldn't. So that's another reason I think we would tighten our range. Reason we would tighten. Okay. Anything else?
I don't know if I like that one.
You don't know if you do?
No, I get it, but I don't know if I like it.
You're not going to make more money with players that are better than you at your table. Like, poker is a game of, ideally you want to play with people that you're better than. So like if somebody that you think is better than you is at the table in position to you, generally speaking, we should be tighter. Not because we're going to be responding passively. Let me maybe add a caveat to this. Players who outclass us, generally these types find 3-bets, find 4-bets, defend their blinds, check raise. So basically what I'm suggesting is that we need to develop a different strategy. Like, we can be tighter, we can open a little bit bigger, we can prepare more 4-bets. It doesn't mean we're going to be playing passively. It just means you have to prepare a little bit differently because your edges aren't making as much money. Like, why am I going to try to pick up one penny off the ground with queen 6 suited if I'm playing with a world-class player that's going to take every single 3-bet possibly on the button at full frequency, like these hands here that he should be 3-betting, he might take these at a full frequency unless I have a really good plan. My 4-betting strategy, that's kind of what I'm suggesting. I'm not saying
My
like tuck our tail between our legs, but I'm saying basically we need to start coming up with a counter strategy.
Yeah. Can they re-counter us because if we are not hitting some of these RFIs in our raise fold category, that they're actually just overfolding to 4-bets? So like we're when we're at the top of our range, we're almost never getting paid off as much.
I'm not sure that I followed it entirely.
So for example, go to the hijack or whatever we're looking at, like the first opener.
Okay, hijack
Is it
opening
a
range.
hijack?
Yeah.
Sure. Take queen six suited.
Mm-hmm.
If that's never in our range, but it's pure here,
Mm-hmm.
and the world class button player is still taking the same amount of 3-bets.
Same amount as in the solver, or because I think like a really strong player wouldn't be trying to roll RNG any of these type of hands. I think a really strong player just like would just be taking these hands basically pure. Like if he knows that these
Sure.
are 3-bets pure, 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 these are all pure, 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 and then including most of these down here pure. So you're getting hit with probably slightly more than 7.6% 3-bets. That's kind of like the scenario I'm thinking.
Right. And so let's just think about, okay, so we're opening 29% of hands. If
Mm-hmm.
we're cutting that down to 25 or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
just throwing out a number,
Sure, sure.
is the extra 5% raise folds causing us to not get action on the top end of our range because we're missing out on some raise folds, just that should naturally happen to their 3-bets versus every time we raise and they 3-bet, if we're only responding in a 4-bet or some calls, we're only at the top.
Okay. All right. So
That
yeah,
I think that's something I've honed into for myself because if we're not, and it's whether it's raise fold, whether it's 4-betting light and folding, some normal aggressive action where it's just designed, like the design of 9-6 suited, 10-9-0, king 9-0 is like the equity is and them folding pre-flop, right? And then if we continue post-flop, okay, we have an edge. So are we realizing more than zero equity? Yes. Or zero, not equity, but percent, you know what I mean? EV.
Mhm. Yeah. I'm thinking. I'm also reading off what Jordan's saying really quick. If I
Okay.
can interrupt you. The high
Yeah.
percentage 3-better is a good call. Tighter depending on your stack size. So I think a good follow up is they don't know that we've like tightened, right? Like
Mm,
if we're shaving off, we're just talking about like let's just imagine that this tenth of a big blind. Let's imagine it's literally like a penny. Okay, so we have just folded hands that aren't pure. So instead of our range is going to look something like this. It's not going to be absurdly tight. We're just like kind of trimming off the fat, trimming off the slight edges. Maybe we don't open like deuces or something like that. It's not a huge adjustment. Um, but if we're going to be getting hit with 3-bets with slightly tighter ranges, we can either keep opening the same amount. We can min raise instead of 2.3. We can go a little bit smaller and we can keep these same hands in. We can go a little bit tighter, slightly bigger, respond with 4-betting. Usually we're not dealing with anyone that's that strong that we really have to change our ranges around too much. But I'm just kind of like throwing out a scenario where I would consider tightening up is when someone's behind me that's an excellent player, going to look for every spot. He's not rolling. He's just going to take high percentage 3-bets. I don't think I got to what you were saying, Spencer, but we can just keep
that's
moving
fine.
on, and I'll just leave a little um, asterisks here. Jordan, if you can add, if you want to add to anything, let me know. Tighter depending on your stack size. Yeah, like our stack size is going to fluctuate our opening range, not by a ton, but let me just give you an example of like if we go up to instead of 40, let's just check 80. It's slightly tighter. I mean, the reason for that, you're going to dump some smaller cards. Your value threshold for stacking off post flop is going to be a little bit tighter, so you want to show up with a few less combos pre-flop, I think. I think that makes sense to me. So you go back down to 40, we're up to 29, so we've expanded our range, and we go down to like 20, up to 26. So yeah, it's going to cause you to change your range around a little bit, not too much. Most people aren't going to notice if you're tightening up a touch. They will notice if you continue to fold to 3 bets, I think, but if you're slightly tighter, I don't think most people are going to pay attention too much to that, especially if you're playing online and people are like 8 tabling. It's kind of hard to tell unless people are using like HUDs, and then they got to read it. They got to change it to um, the session for the day. Yeah. Anything else you want to add to this, Spencer? Jordan, anything? Okay. Reasons we would loosen our RFI. You got anything?
First thing, I mean, there's quite a few, but first thing that stood out is structure of the tournament.
Okay.
And that could literally be like the actual structure in terms of like turbo or not, or also what stood out to me was like mystery bounties. But I
Okay.
know that's kind of random.
Mystery
But,
bounty. How about anything else you want to add to this?
not that one. That stood out to me,
Structure. Like so, a turbo would cause you to be a little bit tighter, a little bit looser,
no.
or
Yeah, more aggro versus like a main event, like we were saying, where maybe it's the 20-minute levels.
so
That's
here.
and deeper stacks. That's different. Mystery bounty, more aggro in the chip accumulation stage. And
So
then you play KO style. Obviously when bounties come into effect. PKO is just on. I just put that on its own.
okay, like a turbo, I would actually play like tight towards the beginning, but like as soon as registration closes, as soon as stacked ups are like sub 25, like I'm changing my value thresholds to be loose, sir.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
Yeah.
like, so if in a really deep structure, I would fold the coin flip. Let's say I open, I have pocket eights, and someone moves on for like 25 big blinds. I'm like, okay, they sometimes have sevens, but they never have sixes. I'm just going to fold my pocket eights. It's usually flipping at best. I'm sometimes dominating sevens, but that's it. It's best case scenario. But in a turbo where the blinds are going up every 10 minutes or 5 minutes, I'm taking the spot because like I can't afford to wait around because I wait 2 minutes, my stack goes from 25 to 20, and then in 5 more minutes it goes from 20 to like 15 if I don't
Yep.
take these spots. So value thresholds, I think, need to loosen, and we should be taking more like I know off the screen all ins that we think we have edge in or something along those lines. Okay, what about table dynamics?
Skill edge is the next one.
So if you're really skilled, so a strong player.
I think you need to be really skilled, but yeah.
So strong players should be loosening up.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Loosen against tighter players. Yeah, Jordan, that's absolutely correct. He says loosen against nits so you can steal more blinds.
Yep.
Loosen versus tight players, especially the big blind.
Yeah, and that's a product of just us having a skill edge. Like that's something that's a product of that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Another reason why we would loosen, maybe like I don't know, it's kind of like I guess chip lead near bubbles, FTs, something like that. Kind of an ICM type of thing. Okay. I mean, we've done a little bit of this. This is just getting our brain warmed up, and then we're gonna figure out what we're gonna jump into in the solver. Yeah. Let's see. Let's jump into one of the drills that you recently made. Go from there. This is a 3-betting drill.
It looks like
But
it.
versus low jack, you start on the flop. Oh no, single raise pot. So we're out of position. Let's just do this one. Out of position, C bets. We're gonna start immediately on the flop, and we're playing out of position. Is that what it is? 60.
Oh yeah, this is the one. Okay, you made that one. Yeah.
Oh, I made this
So
one.
Yeah, it's just this should be the out of position. The one that says low jack 40 to 60 out of position C bets. That one.
Okay.
That's the one.
Um,
That
I
this
don't
one.
mind working on out of position if you don't mind, Spencer.
Sure.
Okay, let's do it. Let's see. If I'll take. Do you want to start with this one?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Jack 9-7. We open off a 50. We are flattered by the button. Single raise pot. Ace 2 on a Jack 9-7 board, two tone. We don't have suits on board. I got one overcard. I'm not going to be adding any money to this pot, but I'm just trying to figure out like if I had Ace 5 of hearts, should I be doing something? Should I be c betting? Should I be sticking around, putting in a check raise? I don't think so. I don't think I'd be c betting, and I don't think I'd be putting in a check raise. But we should be asking ourselves these questions. Like, where am I getting my bluffs from? My bluffs are probably going to include an 8. My bluffs are probably going to include a 10. My bluffs will probably have an overcard to the jack, backdoor hearts. So I'm imagining we use hands like I mean, it's not really, it's a semi bluff, but like hands like Queen 10, Queen 8 hearts, King Queen offsuit with a single spade, Ace 10 offsuit with a single spade. I don't think we don't have Ace 8. So this hand I'm just going to check with the intentions of folding. As far as like how much I'm betting on this flop when I open the low jack, I think it's relatively high. I think we get to use a small sizing because the board on the turn is going to change a lot. And we just wrap around this board, right? So we have like ace 9 offsuit, we've got jack 10 offsuit, queen 10 offsuit. So like our offsuit side hits really hard, and then we open. What do we open here? Offsuit 10 suited sevens. Do we open suited sevens, Spencer? Do you know? Okay. Well, I'm gonna check. I'm gonna give up. I don't know if you heard. If you heard, I was. I didn't hear you for a second.
Yeah. So,
I'm going to just check and fold. Let's explore this. Cool. Let's explore this really quickly. Jordan, you got anything? Just jump in. Even if we have to go back to previous hands that we looked at, we will. But I thought we were going to be betting this board at a high frequency simply because our range pretty much wraps around this board. So I thought we opened suited sevens, but we don't. We open suited eights and some suited sevens. So we do have a decent amount of coverage here. Like our worst hands are going to be like the hand that I had, like ace 2, ace 3, ace 4, something like king 5 of clubs, some pocket twos. So let's see here. Okay, this is. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, so I do think your hand falls into a check or double on other boards, but this one's too connected. And then I think the focus should more be on the top pair with the opening range, not necessarily being wrapped around it.
Okay.
So if it was 10, 8, 6, it's going to look a lot different. They're just more like, yeah, I think that should be more the focus than necessarily the wrapped around.
Okay.
It's going to be pretty symmetrical on the wraparound because they're still calling the suited side of that, but
yeah, I think I was just I was just completely wrong here. I thought we added money to this pot frequently, and we just don't. Like you mentioned, they're just as wrapped around. If anything, it hits them a lot harder because they don't have as much concentration of like. I mean, look, our offsuit hits pretty hard. Like Jack 10 hits hard, Queen 10 hits hard, King 10 hits hard. Everything hits hard, but they're just more concentrated. Our equity advantage is like 3%. That's something. It's not a decent edge, but we check a lot. I actually thought we were going to be betting a decent amount. So it plays primarily the way I would play would be like check in some sort of large sizing, check in like maybe B55. Now let's look into like where our bluffs come from. So we'll scroll down and we'll look at our lowest equity bucket is 0 to 25%. We're just not using these hands. So it has to be equity driven. Something has to be, you got to have an over to the jack. You got to have backdoor hearts. You need to have a gut shot, something. So the next category up would be 25-50. And then I'm going to remove pairs. So basically, these are the hardest bluffs that we're going to have on this board. They're not that hard. No. Gut shot with an overcard.
Overcard.
Open ended. Open ended. Gut shot. These might be hard. Spencer, how do you feel about putting money in with a 5-6 of hearts? Is that comfortable? Is that something that you do?
Starting to more recently with the notion that it's not necessarily like uh, explain this. Like,
I'm using the chat box right now, just on another monitor.
that I think you pull a specific hand out of and play it differently than your range. Meaning, like, I think we're gonna obviously 6 hide's never gonna be good at showdown. So you're putting money in to draw some auto folds and then be able to check a lot of turns to realize that equity and not have to put in more money, and then potentially probe rivers that are good blanks if it is, so we can bluff those. So it's
Okay.
gonna get us. It's gonna be a high frequency bet check bet line. Put it more simple.
Okay. Let's look at bet, and then like small. We have a decent amount of 20. Like I just simply wouldn't be using the sizing. I don't think I use 20, and I don't think I use 33. But let's explore 20 because 6-5 of hearts uses 20 most frequently besides check. So trigger's really low. Even when we have overcard for like putting money in face turn. Yeah, it's quite unintuitive. The ace two that they're using is ace two of hearts. I mean, I'm sorry. It only uses ace two of spades. So I thought that they would consider using something like ace five. Even this one doesn't really want to add money to the pot. So um, quite selective. You're not going to use any of your ace X unless it's actually a flush draw. You need to be a little bit closer to the seven. So I'm imagining we use ace six of hearts. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's explore B20. They're going to be raising us in position around 20% of the time. I'm not going to go into which hands right now. Let's just explore like a really, let's just explore a two. You can follow through with your naked flush. It's not a naked flush. It's actually combo draw. Combo draw to the eight and hearts. Let's explore a high heart. I'm wondering if we ever check with our 5-6 on a certain heart turn. Or is there a certain turn you want to see, Spencer?
10 or 8, maybe even a queen.
You're
But
primarily
that's
getting a
kinda
check here.
Yeah, that's kind of like there's got to be a point where you have to realize this equity at some, you know.
Yeah. What
Yeah,
about
but
just
I think the Badugi turns is where there comes more betting.
okay? If
Okay,
you
maybe
spike your
6.
5,
Oh,
you'll
there you have
check.
a pair, but yeah, that's a pair.
You spike your 6, you'll check with your 6. Okay. A Baduki, what card?
Like deuce of clubs.
Deuce of clubs.
Okay,
Yep, we're checking on that one. We're deep enough that I'm really curious if we ever spring a check raise with our. Let's turn this into a deuce of hearts, and we decide to go with like a lower frequency check of 30% or so. We check, and the button puts in B55. And it's check jamming some of the time. That's interesting. We small bet and then we check when we pick up the hearts. They bet. They protect their nines. They bet their weak jack X, and we're going to probably move some of these hands off. Is there any jack that folds? Yeah, there are some jacks that start to fold to this action. It's a pretty cool line. King jack of clubs is folding. I mean, shit. I mean, pretty sure it's such an under bluffed line.
Yes. I guess the problem is it's always somewhat equity driven on these two-tone or double flush draw boards. I mean, right? Like,
Right. Yeah, you're dealing with equity. You're not dealing with just like random like I mean, look, they have do they have any low equity hands?
the problem is I think that drives people to call closer
Because
to the correct call frequency because there's so many draws, and like if they take a hand like king jack of clubs and they just kind of stick it in and pray to hold, and even if they're like, they're drawing dead or even behind sometimes, but like, I think they just kind of intuitively understand that more often they're not, or
no,
there's
I
more
agree.
draws in there that are
Yeah, I agree. I
causing them to call.
yeah, I completely agree. I think when there's so many draws, there's spades, there's hearts, there's gut shots, there's open end straight draws, queen tens, there's ten eights. Actually, that's a straight already, but they're more likely to hang on to their top pair, thinking that we can have infinite draws.
But on the flip side of that, on a blank turn, taking that same line causes overfolds on the other side.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, it has to make sense if our logic is if we believe that on the deuce of hearts that they're going to stack up a little bit more with the jack because there's so many draws, then they would have to.
Like here, they'd probably be folding like queen jack to a check jam quite often.
I keep going back and forth because I'm like, now their queen jack is like, I don't know.
Yeah, but that's like, what are they jamming?
Exactly.
That's why it's like the
It
two
keeps going
didn't
back and
change
forth.
anything, and now you're jamming on me. So they're probably like, "Fuck, I was already beat." Like that's just, I think that's literally like how most populations mind. It just goes from point A to point B, and it must equate to this. Usually they, sets two pairs.
Right.
Like
Yeah. Like
there's only if they're and usually they. And we talked about this yesterday. The self-imposed. Like if you have queen ten of spades, why would you just call and then put the money in on the turn? I would just put the money in on the flop and just run it.
right.
So they remove some of those out now, right? So now it's just like, well, they have to be nutted to take this line.
Okay.
That's exactly what I would do.
Yeah, but there isn't going to be jams actually in this node. There is a check raise to half of our stack, which I mean I'm not
It's
sure.
effectively the same shit.
I don't know if people are going to treat it like it's our all in and they just like stick around with like their queen jack, king jack.
No, but I also think people like, what about versus B83 on the turn? Because if they do have queen jack and then they're still like,
okay, B80
or even pot,
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's still actually using the same size whether we go B83 or B55. It's check raising half of our stack. So B55, 22 big blinds, and then B83 to 22 big blinds.
Good.
I'm good if you want to move on to the next hand.
Yeah, and population isn't really starting with B20 on the flop, so it kind of
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that size is used
bloats
very
the
often.
pot immediately, and
Yeah, let me. Yeah, take your time here, okay? I need to pull something up.
Sure.
But if you could talk out loud, that'd be helpful.
Yep. 7 SPR roughly. Okay, pretty dynamic board. We have all the sets. He does as well. He's not always 3-betting jacks and tens at 50. We do have a jack of spades, which is decent. How do I want to shrink this SPR and get the money in? Can I really make this a 2-street game? I would have to go too large, and when it's this dynamic, you probably don't want to always do that immediately. So I like check raise or letting us kind of stabilize a little bit because we have the spade. Let's see, high RNG. What do I think my range is doing overall? I think on a two-tone, two Broadway, we have a decent betting frequency. I'm going to say like 65% betting, 35% check.
Okay.
And this one, I am going to go for a check raise.
Okay.
I guess if I have club diamond, maybe I'm more inclined to put money in right away.
7 of hearts.
I can expect at some frequency, some 8-9 betting, trying to get like pocket sixes through deuces to fold, maybe some ace-5 of diamonds and clubs. Here I think we can definitely go large. Probably B125. Can't go lower than B83. You need to charge hearts, pocket eights, pocket nines, 10x. So yeah, let's go B125. Okay.
Okay, you face 2-bet to 22 big blinds.
We're under rep. does have a set of sevens. But he does also have, what would he check back? Some ace eight, ace nine of hearts. Um, hmm. He's not folding. Fuck. This one's pretty hard. I just, let's just put it in. I don't know if we can really fold the
It's hard. It can hardly be a mistake, right? When our pot's 38, we've got top pair. Like our
yeah,
hand's
so,
not going to improve like too much. Okay, like cool. If we hit a
no.
jack, if we hit an ace, that's cool. But we don't want to see an eight. We don't want to see a diamond. We don't want to see a heart. We don't want to see like a queen. We don't really want to see like. I mean,
Right. There's, yeah. With his bluffs, we're still ahead of it. So I guess kind of just like, or I know he is like, when I say bluffs, it's equity driven, but um, yeah, just putting it in and not letting those cards come off, basically, like you're saying. So yeah, I'd probably just be putting it in if you got a set of sevens. Good for you.
yeah. Okay, I guess this line's not taken very much. So, oh, cool. Like he just turned like a 4% or something, whatever that is on us. So let's take a look and then let's be very clear. When we study a solver, we don't study a solver so we can replicate it. We're trying to look at what optimal looks like. And that way we have an idea of what people need to be doing in a situation. So, like, what I mean by that is when we look at pre-flop three betting, you can sit at your local game and say, well, these people aren't three betting these type of hands, so you need to adjust to that, or these people aren't double barreling with these type of bluffs, so we need to adjust to that. And it goes to every single node of the game tree. Sorry, a little distracted. And now let's hit the low jack. Okay. 60-40, checking. So checking big bet. Thoughts? 3%, 4% edge here.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense.
Okay.
I
Let's.
think,
No. Finish your thoughts before we start exploring equity buckets.
no, I want to actually at all.
Okay. Okay. So if we look down here at our lowest equity buckets, so like some key heuristics when we're out of position, it's almost always equity driven. We don't randomly just start putting money in with random clubs and random diamonds. We need suits on board. We need overcards. We need backdoor draws because we can't invest money into a pot and frequently have to give up from out of position. So it's selective. You got to be. You just have to be selective. That's the right word. I mean, is there another word that you can think of, Spencer?
No, it's just no. It's
Okay.
usually, I think it's no.
Yeah.
The only thing I was gonna follow up was like the boards usually drive us to that as well, right? So like you're here, um, dynamic more two tone or wet textures in general are probably gonna be higher percentage check or large because equities are gonna be shifting. Versus the more static and rainbowy boards are the ones now out of position. We're probably going to be unlocked quite more frequently.
Yeah, I think it's unintuitive to have this equity advantage and playing a lot of check here.
Right.
To me, I'm a little bit surprised. I would think that we'd be betting more frequently here. Um, so I'm trying to wrap my head around it because we have like okay, we've got all these overpairs. We've got like Jack 10. We've got all these high equity uh, bluffs. Um, so I'm a bit confused here.
They have a more condensed calling range, right? Because if they're calling, they're not calling the offsuit tens. That's in their three better fold range. So with like ace nine o. So the bottom of their calling range is starting at king jack o.
Let me pull up the range.
We have all the offsuit tens unlocked. So now we're in the, effectively our checking range of our node of our with the opening of our bottom offsuits.
Are you gaining anything from these buckets here? Um,
Not.
I mean, the thing that actually stands out to me right here. I mean, no, we always under realize our equity from out of position. So like this is the first thing that stood out to me. But as far as combos go, like you just suggest, they're condensed, they're concentrated. We have a lot of offsuit hands that kind of weigh our equity down, like ace nine offsuit makes up 12 combos. I mean, like they pretty much start with like queen jack, king jack, ace 10. That's like their weakest side, but which makes up the bulk of the ranges.
And that's against Terminator Solver. If we're talking about real, people aren't finding king, even though Jack 10 and Queen 10 are in there. Like,
Yeah,
I don't,
I would
they're not
probably
really
agree with
flagging
that.
that on the button.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
Not versus low jack.
Or,
It's
or
got to start
truly,
coming in
truly,
more.
they have to be truly recreational to
Correct.
be playing these
Correct.
type of
Correct.
hands.
Correct. Correct. Yep.
And they're likely not playing like. I mean, I don't think I'm playing king five on the button here. I think we've talked about this a lot that we don't have enough of this in our flatting range from late position. King five, king six.
Yep. That's why I've been drilling that specifically the button versus like cutoff, hijack and low jack. And then at the different depths and just kind of see how and why those are in there in the solver and how those properties kind of work. But we also kind of have to have some bluff in our call range. Essentially.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, see, like the question that I've been going back and forth with. So, look, we've got them beat hard on the best hands. We've got them beat hard on the good hands. They are dominant weak hands, dominant trash hands. So, why is it that I can't add money to the pot frequently?
EQR.
It doesn't even seem that large of an edge. Like,
Right, but I think when you combine that with like how condensed the range really is, um, yeah, I think that's a product of that. So like, yeah, on paper, what a 6% EQR swing doesn't look like that much, but when you talk about in the terms of the range, it probably is. We're already like you said, there's already an 88 combo difference.
yeah, yeah. So, I need to just do a little bit more exploring on these boards. I mean, the more I think about Jack 10 is a kind. It's I'm not. I'll just say it. It's kind of a unique board texture where
Right, there's going to be some
y-
ridiculous sizes it's introduced.
yeah, you use like really really large sizing sometimes, and because you use really large sizings, your whole entire range can't support large sizings, which basically
Right.
implies you should be playing like a check. I don't
Yeah.
know. I think
Check are insane,
yeah.
basically.
Yeah, okay. So we have to be playing large on this board texture from out of position. The hardest hands to find here. Um, these, and let me select no made. Okay, so these are the hardest hands to find.
Again, no made are all some kind of equity, gutter, backdoor,
Yeah,
or just gutter.
yeah. These are hard for me. Like I'm not sure that I bet these every time, but like 9-7 of
Yeah,
clubs. But once again,
right,
you're drawing to the effective nuts. I mean, look, if they hit it, if we hit an 8, we lose to queen 9, right?
right. That I'll never care about. Like you fucking get my money
Yeah,
all day, every day. But I get it. It's the fact that they're double unders that you're betting versus the queen 8, queen 9 at least is an overcard,
right.
or the 9-8 isn't open ended. It feels much
Feels
more
dirty.
natural and easy. It just feels easy to do it, right?
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
9-7,
Yeah, these are hard because like when you hit, sometimes it's dirty, but it really doesn't matter. The pot's 7, like if you hit your straight, you're just gonna run it. More often than not, you're gonna win money when you hit that straight. So, um, plus they 3-bet some queen 9 suited. They don't have queen 9 off, so it's actually a cleaner out than I originally thought. Um, okay, that's a flush draw. Yeah, these are the hardest hands to find. Let me turn no made hand off, and then these are just overcards. Um, Overcards, ace 9. See, you have to be kind of selective with your ace 9. So you don't get to just bet every single ace 9. You have to bet with a spade in your hand. That's what we mean by being pretty selective. If we head over to the 2, um, this one can have the properties of like tripling by blocking one of their sets, blocking their ace jack. Um, okay, so do you remember your combo?
ace of clubs, jack of spade.
Ace of clubs, jack of spades. Okay, ace of clubs, jack of spades. Um, bigger check. You can kind of eliminate these options. Just some sort of large sizing and check. You went with check, right?
Yeah.
Okay. In position doesn't have to play as polar. their largest sizing is 55, and then our largest sizing out of position is like between 83% and 125%. So in position, um, did he check or what did he do? I already forgot.
Yeah, it went check, but I do want to see like what our check raise is, facing whatever. Yeah, B55.
Okay, let's do B55. Check raising 6% or so. Damn.
See, like this is the kind of shit. Like, how do I? I'm already. It's already like weird to decide on the flop between check and large, and then how do I? I mean, the reason why I want to check is to obviously like shrink SPR. So like this is kind of got to be probably besides like queens to do it with, but um,
I mean,
when I see all suit combos kind of in there, it's like I don't.
so I mean, the hardest check raises. These are just top pairs. This 10-8 is very interesting. It's not being done, I don't think. I don't think anyone just like randomly check
Yeah,
raises like middle pair.
nope.
Jack 10, Queen 10. So everything's primarily equity driven. I'm guessing this is more of like a board coverage type of thing because like if you check raise and never have trip tens on a turn 10,
Sure.
you're kind of
And the
wrecked.
yeah, eight's got some okay properties to
Yeah, it's usually
run
clean.
certain runouts.
And it's usually clean if you hit the 8, right? Because they don't have any like
Yeah.
Queen 9. Okay,
Okay,
so
keep check
do you
back.
want to do check check now?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, we find ourselves here, and then it wants to do B125.
Okay, still more checking than I thought, but
Yeah, so if we
what we ex-
check,
okay.
is that what you want to do?
Let's explore a couple different turn cards just to see how. Like, can you check a 5 of hearts?
Slightly less
Okay,
checking.
see now jamming is introduced. Okay, that makes sense. The 7 is a little too connected, and I think it becomes right. It's reverse linear in terms of their bluffing, so they're gonna bluff their 3s, 4s, 5s more, and pure check their 9s, 8s, and 7s.
They're bluffing their what?
They would be more inclined to bluff from their pocket 3s, pocket 4s, pocket 5s, but then they're gonna be pure checking from their 9s, 8s, 7s.
Bluffing their threes, nines, eights, and sevens.
Pocket 9s, pocket 8s, pocket 7s.
Primarily
So,
check. But I mean, do you think people actually do this?
um, if it's a good player, I mean, if they're gonna bet from bluffs, they're gonna come from somewhere. So it's gonna come from. We see this all the time. It's gonna come from the ace 3, ace 4, ace 5, and then the small pairs. But I'm just saying, like that's how
I don't know if people do
the
this
mechan.
though.
Sure, but that's how the mechanics of it work, right? Like they're just gonna be checking the top pairs more, higher pocket pairs under the 10
Sure.
than. Um, so, anyways, just in terms of how our range changes and like allows us to bet what sizes, but how about just like like club or
Let me just check this random ass turn. Primarily check.
I'd be more inclined to check this turn with the Jack X, but
Actually, a pretty good.
yeah,
Oh no, no, this is a check check. Never mind. Okay.
yeah, like a
You,
4 of
you want to
clubs.
explore one more? Okay. Before we move on.
If
Four of
the 2x
clubs.
pot still is in there, but
Yeah, 2x spots still in here. Good chunk. Primarily check and big bet. Um, okay.
alright.
Anything else?
No.
Let's keep going. We've got a couple jack high boards here. Um, okay, let's see here. I have every set here. Um, I don't have suits on board. I got a gut shot. I think this board typically plays size up. I'm gonna want to size up hands like Queen Jack Hearts, Queen 9 Hearts, Jack 8 Hearts, like all ace 3 suited, all ace 4 suited, all ace 5 suited. So I think this hand's gonna fall into a big bet, and this is an example of like it's unintuitive, but I think the solver's gonna choose this because once again, like if you are gonna use a big sizing, you have to be drawing to some sort of equity, and this will be the nuts. So um, I think we have to check a decent amount. We open all the offsuit tens, so this is where I'm like going back and forth, but this texture usually calls for sizing up. So I'm just gonna say that we are checking checking 60%, betting 40. For this one, I'm just gonna size up. Um, like I don't think betting small accomplishes too much because if I were to bet like let's say a third, I'm not getting pocket fives with no spade to fold, or pocket fours with no spade to fold, or ace two of clubs to fold. Like my goal by sizing up is um, to fold out like the king jack of clubs, to fold out queen jack of diamonds. And I think I would accomplish that with probably b55. Because this hand is more one and done, I think I'm more likely to go up to 83. It's not the highest frequency action. And then we're just not putting any more money into the spot.
Ever? Or specifically on this turn?
Oh, on this turn, I'm not adding money to the spot with my hand.
Just making sure. Clear.
Like, I mean, there's gonna be times that I need to fold out some backdoor hearts, but this turn I'm not gonna add any money with this hand. So here we would be trying to fold out queen jack, king queen. Are we gonna fold out like ace 9 hearts, ace 8 hearts, ace 7 hearts, ace 5 hearts, ace 4 hearts, ace 3 hearts, queen jack, pocket fives, pocket. I actually think I got fives to fold without a spade. Where am I bluffing from? Where am I bluffing from? Do I bluff with like all my fives, fours, and threes? The targets to fold out king high, queen high, jack high. Is there enough of those? Definitely bluffing with like fives, fours, and threes. Do I want to be bluffing with 9-8? I think so. I think so. I don't know. I really don't know, but I'm just gonna bet. I have to try to occasionally fold out like ace high.
I think this one's unique, just so if I can chime in,
Yeah.
because you're blocking nines and eights, and so he's he's going to be more weighted to pocket sevens, and then the under pairs what you counter. So you can kind of like, although you counter them, you don't allow them to bluff you out now as well. So now he should be, and since we block those pairs, he should be weighted to those smaller pairs, and then more towards the backdoor hearts.
Yeah, I
I
think
know
what
it's a
you brought
small
up,
weight shift, but decent.
I think what you brought up needs to be written down. So give me 1 second. So most reasons to bet. Actually, there's only two traditional reasons to bet. So reasons to bet, and it's either to get better to call, or worse to call. There's actually another one, or worse to call. And the third, you can kind of, I mean, it prevents you from getting bluffed. Generally, like out of position type of heuristic.
First one to get better to fold, right? Not call.
Get better to fold or worse to call. And then sort of maybe we can like equity denial typically falls into equity denial. Like a good example of equity denial might be like betting your pocket, betting like 4-4 on deuce 3 like king. The reason you want to bet fours and you don't have to bet pocket queens, betting equity denial, betting fours on deuce 3 king, and not betting queen queen is to deny equity to overcards that, let me, I know I'm off the screen, that would likely fold to a bet. So a good example here, let's just imagine that this board is like deuce of hearts, 3 of hearts, 4 of spades. Let's keep it actually red, diamond. Okay, so here, when we bet our pocket fours, we just want like the queen, jack of clubs to fold. not going to call your bet, but they're drawing to 6 live cards. And if they're in position to you, and they can check back, they sometimes get to realize turns and rivers. So, anything else you want to add to this, Bio? I'm glad that you brought this up because preventing you from getting bluffed is quite important. And I'm guessing um, this hand here is going to fall into that. But like, so
The only other caveat I would say to that, because it's something I don't do enough, is also like you prevent yourself from getting bluffed, but then you also need to uh, put some thin value in there as well.
thin value.
Yeah, if you're never putting thin value in there, then
Oh, thanks, Jordan. Sorry.
we could become pretty face up in some of these river spots.
Okay.
So, for example, I think this hand could fall into the B83. Could be completely wrong, but also our pocket nines and pocket eights should be in B83 all the time. I'm probably not choosing specifically that big of a size in this spot, but I would imagine, I'm just guessing that those with a spade specifically probably do get value from pocket sevens and then some ace highs. But
Okay, no, I'm going to size up with this hand. I'm going to go B83. Let me just address what Jordan says. So, Jordan, I encourage you to use the chat box, and you're not slowing us down. So, we're here to study with whoever's here. So, go ahead,
Yep.
Spencer.
No, I was gonna say I like it when
Yeah. So,
just think extra.
okay. So,
Different ways.
do you want to field this question without even knowing what it is? It's all based on this board.
Okay.
Okay. So, why wasn't 9-8? I'm just going to say diamonds. He didn't write it, but why isn't 9-8 of diamonds a good hand to bluff on the turn? If it was one card away from the straight, and our opponent could think we hit trips or something. Thanks for the question, Jordan. So, why don't we want to bet this after sizing up on the flop, Spencer? You got any thoughts on that?
Because the result of what we gain from sizing up should eliminate so much of his range that it condenses it too strong on this particular turn. He's always going to have his flush draws intact. He's always going to have top pair intact. He's always going to have backdoor flush draws intact with overcards. And then he's always going to have like second pairs probably in there. And not at always at a full weight. Everything else is like the auto folds that are targeted to get out. So it's not like he's calling a large bet also with a hand like 7-8 or 8-9 of clubs or diamonds. He would only be calling that to a small sizing. So putting money in against a range that we've already targeted usually is not a good idea.
Okay. What about like the yeah, okay, yeah. I think you covered everything pretty much. So like the turn, so yeah, betting large.
I would say that's a good question though, because this might be unique because we do have all the offsuit tens, but I would imagine even those are checking at a high frequency because since we have so much more offsuit, he has much more suited condensed that even trips isn't like pure betting this turn.
Okay. So why can't we represent a flush on the third spade? We can. I'll take this one since you took the first one. We can represent the flush. So if we're gonna bet the turn after betting the flop, so we sized up. Remember, I wrote it down right here. So like we think that we got him to fold some clubs, we got him to fold some diamonds. He's showing up to the turn with a much stronger, much stiffer, less combinations on the turn, right? We think we got him to fold a hand, maybe like King Jack of Hearts, maybe hand like Pocket Five. So we're strengthening. So he's gonna have more 6x, more 10x, and more spades in his range. If we're gonna bet this turn, I think we would probably use a smallish sizing. When the equity on the turn shifts really hard, so it does here. So let's imagine I had a hand like pocket jacks or pocket queens, no spade in my hand. Trip tens took the lead, and all flushes took the lead. So equities have completely shifted to either whoever has the flush, whoever has trips. Now my overpairs have gotten devalued. So we need to use, if we are going to bet, we would use very, very small sizings, like maybe the biggest I would probably use would be I don't know, 40%, 50%. I don't need to bet too big. I want to be able to keep betting though, right? Sometimes I'm going to have full houses. Sometimes I'm going to have trip tens with a redraw to the ace of spades. Sometimes I'm just going to have a flush. So I need to be able to have like somewhat of a large sizing, but it doesn't need to be that big in case I want to bluff. Push the weaker hands out by the turn. Only stronger hands should be in. Yeah. Yeah, let's explore this. Let me bluff this river here and let's see what happens. We're gonna explore how the solver typically plays, and then 6-7. 6-7. I just did that on camera. I regret that. Joking. Um okay, so yeah, 6-7. We're not holding out a bow, but I need to see how we should be playing this, so let's explore that.
Damn, there's something else I was gonna add to.
Okay, hold on. Let's go back. Okay, let me know if something sparks. Yeah, you know what? And I also, Jordan, I probably made the mistake of eliminating a 6. I thought I sized up enough that I thought I would have gone like 6-5s to fold, 6, maybe 6-5
What's
folds, but 6-7 doesn't because it can still redraw to a backdoor straight. And it doesn't want to draw to a lower end of the straight. Well, thanks, Jordan. You guys did a great job explaining why it would be risky to bet like that. You know what? The thing is, we just gave you our opinion, and the solver often humbles us. So, like, I could be completely wrong. We study enough that we're generally kind of have an idea of what's going on, but a lot of the times I'm just wrong. So,
Yeah, but it's also against Terminator. We gotta take some things with a grain of salt. I mean, I think all
agreed.
three of us have kind of alluded to like the 6x is often folded by a lot of people, right, on the flop to a size up, especially with the non, like you're basically just holding on, hoping that it does go check, 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 check. So like, and most people just don't do that to a large sizing, only versus small sizings.
Yeah. Another benefit of like being in position, you can hold on to your hand just a touch longer, be a little bit stickier because the out of position player generally on some cards has the high frequency check, and we might be able to spike the 6 river. Did you know what you were going to come up with, Spencer? I think you had an
Yeah,
idea.
the only
Or...
thing was to add to just like why we can't bluff on the turn, and it's just not that we can, it's just this isn't the right combo, right? So like you said, because we already strengthened their range going into the turn, we just have to have the correct combo to do it. So
Yeah,
i.e. any
we need a
any big spades. So,
yeah, we
so
need
if
a
we
spade in
have
our hand. Yeah, yeah,
like queen of spades, king of spades is probably the absolute best ones, right? Because we're just blocking all their suited broadways, and then even if they have like a 10x with X combo offsuit, at least
yeah.
we're blocking like the king 10 with the 10 of spades, or I mean the king of spades.
Right. Yeah, yeah. It blocks. Yeah, having a high spade, like you were just suggesting, high spade, high offsuit cards with a single spade blocks their strongest trips. You just said that, right, Spencer?
Mm-hmm.
And it blocks flushes, and we can credibly represent a flush by betting turn betting river with those
Right.
runouts.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure what I said regarding our checking frequency, but we're checking a decent amount. Let's call it like near 60% checking. So it plays check and it plays large.
Oh,
Go ahead.
this is what the other thing I was going to say, because I pointed to this earlier about the 10 high boards. So I think one thing we're going to always notice is it's somewhere going to be somewhere between 60 to like 75 on average, even higher in the checking percentage out of position. But the 10 high board is one where it's going to, I thought was going to keep closer to the 50%. But as we can see, it's still checking more than betting.
Yeah.
But this
Yeah.
is the one board that should be our most favored board, and it kind of proves that a little bit.
Yeah.
So, like, if you want to go ham on some triples, probably is the 10 high board,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
even for value.
Right. I'm just trying to take this board in really quick. Yeah. So I mean, the way the solver's recommending that you approach this spot here, check, and then when the solver suggests something at kind of a low frequency, for example, solver suggesting betting a third 17% of the time, but when you see that the solver actually uses large sizings, we're bucketing all of these, so 55%, 83, so all of these add up more than 17%. So I'm basically saying I'm going to ignore the small. I'm basically just going to be playing a checking strategy and playing something that's large. It doesn't have to be 125, doesn't have to be 83. It can be a blend of all of these. Maybe you want to play check and 66% to simplify your strategy. The reason that most people recommend two sizings post flop is just to try to nail your flop node, and you have a better idea of what's going on the turn. If you played check and you played bet 33% and you played half pot and you played pot, your range to you, uh, you might have an idea what's going on, but most people can't keep track of what hands am I checking, what hand am I defending. Not that you need to be balanced or anything like that, but it's just much easier to try to simplify these spots into I'm going to do two things post flop. I'm either checking or betting or not checking at all, and I'm going to range bet for a small size, and maybe I'm going to include like a larger size. Um, my hand specifically, I think I chose B83 with 9-8 of diamonds. It kind of favors a little bit smaller, so maybe whatever, B55. Okay, so let's imagine that I'll just stick to B83. So here's where we strengthen the range. Okay, we put in a large sizing, and this is what we expected them to fold. So they're supposed to stick around with all their 6-5s, 6-7s. They're folding their 7s through 9s.
That's it. See, that's what's stupid about this because we know that's not how human brains work.
Yeah, I think I agree with you here. I think I agree with you here that
Second pair is second pair, and they're more inclined to call nines than they ever would. A 6x that has no back. Well, I mean, okay, if you want to consider 6-5 a backdoor straight draw with diamonds and your spade one isn't even clean, good luck. But
yeah,
yeah, there's no way. So what is just saying I fold nines, but I'm always calling a 6.
yeah, but there's a very logical reason why the solver likes continuing with a 6
Of
and not
course.
pocket 9s. So pocket 9s, it can only draw out to 2 more outs, like or whatever. So it only has 2 outs to improve. Whereas if you have king 6 or 8-6 or 7-6, all this has it can hit the 7 and it's occasionally good, but it's also backing into draws. Like this has to come perfect 7-8 or hit a 9. We're gonna just look at the EV really quick.
But on two-tone boards, like specifically, definitely humans aren't like doing that as much as like a rainbow, because right? Would you agree or think that as well?
That on two
Like I'm
tone.
more likely to call 6-7 when it's like 10-6 deuce rainbow than it is on a two-tone where I have no backdoor suits.
Probably. Yeah. But like I think I would stick around more. Yeah, yeah. So look, I think this is really important here. So the pot is how big is this pot here? We bet 5.9 into 7.1. So the pot's 13. When you call with nines, you're only winning 2.8% of this pot here.
Yeah, that's if you hang on and want to try to realize that equity.
If you play if you play the hand basically perfectly too, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
so times 0.028. 10%. Yeah, I think this is accurate. So you're gonna win 1/3 of a big blind when you stick around with pocket nines and play the hand perfectly. But then king 6, which to the untrained eye looks like an inferior hand because I'm beat by pocket 7s, I'm beat by pocket 8s, I'm beat by pocket 9s. But
4 times that.
yeah, so if you do 13 times our EV of the pot, it's 0.126. You're making 1.6. Like a massive amount difference. It's almost 5 times as much, right?
Yeah, it's getting close.
It's
to
yeah
5 times,
four. Yeah,
at
it's a
least
little
4.
over 4. It's a little over 4 times. But so I think this is an important takeaway. Your king 6 makes more money than pocket 9s. 9s is only drawing to 2 outs on the turn, and king 6 is drawing to 5 outs. And these hands are backing into multiple draws. They can go both ways,
Just more robust. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's only drawing to one straight heading up towards 8-9, but whatever. Same thing. 6-5 is still
6-5
drawing
goes
to
down.
4-3. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
drawing to 4-3. Is 7-8 run out not a straight? No, it's not. Okay. All right. Bet call. Once we get to this turn, and we're sitting with 9-8. Okay, so Jordan, if you're still following here, so it looks like we just play range check. So ignore everything that you're seeing here. Like we don't have to play any of this here. Against humans that you're better than and you think that they're terrible and you can figure out a way of explaining, do your thing. We would never suggest to do anything otherwise. When I'm playing against weaker players and I turn a flush, I'm like, oh well, he's never ever folding like an overpair, or he's never folding the ace of spades, or he's then I'm gonna add money and they're never gonna figure it out. But to the solver, it says you want to be if you want to protect your pocket jacks, your pocket queens, your pocket kings, your pocket aces, even when you have Jack 10. So even when we have strong hands, the fact is we have so many weak hands that really dilutes our range. So like when we get to this turn after sizing up, we're pretty far behind. We're 4% behind now. Um, and to defend that on a dynamic equity shifting card, we just want to check our entire range. And then we'll readjust to what the button does.
We also kind of do a follow up to this.
Sure.
Can you choose whatever the largest sizing allows for on the turn low jack, real quick? I think it was B83, right?
That would be 83.
Just ignore the hand combo itself, right? So let's just see their fold percentage and where it comes from. So 40, almost 45.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are they folding here? That's like
King Jack
any
hearts,
pairs,
King Queens, any
so
pairs?
like nines, eight,
Yes.
sevens.
Yes, they're folding
Okay,
like jacks. They're folding sixes. They're
folding
folding.
jacks. Oh shit.
I mean, they're folding a ton of pairs actually.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I was only seeing like nines, eights. Oh shit. Okay. Okay. So
This hypothetical
okay.
world, yeah.
Right. Okay. So clear this real quick. So it's 45% fold, right?
Yeah.
From those kind of hands. Okay. Now choose the check node.
Shit. Weren't we on the
Right
turn?
there. Oh shit.
We were on the turn, right? Okay. So B83. Okay.
Wait,
Now,
wait. But was that the same? Where we?
yeah, I think we were there, and it's just reset to the flop or something. But yeah, this is what we're targeting, right? Over pairs of folding. Yes, yes, we're on the right node. So now, what do you want to check? Check node.
Yes.
Okay, we've checked.
And so now look at nines, eights, and sevens.
What they're doing in position.
Right.
Primarily
so
checking.
This is another. Sure, but at least this unlocks some betting, right? So is there other hands that would have folded to our turn C bet that now unlock some amount of betting, right? I just want to point this out because I think that's also another product of why we have a pure check range. Not only does we need to support all of our air, it's not the design of a lot of these hands on this kind of dynamic turn is that it's almost never a 3 street game, or the only way you can make it is by check raising on some occasions, or check calling and then getting the money in it again on the river, right? So we have
Sure.
to also sometimes unlock bluffs because of
Yeah.
how the
Yeah.
nature of our range is.
Yeah, they're actually bluffing a decent amount here. They're using some low equity hands, which in position has opposite rules, sort of that govern
Yep.
the spot. So, like in position, you can be more polar than out of position
Yep.
because you don't want to get moved off of your.
Right.
You don't want to get moved out of. You don't want to get moved off of position. So, like if you were to bet a hand, let's just say the ace of spades, jack, and you bet like let's just say 5 big blinds into a pot of 19, and the guy just check jams on you. You just got moved off of the nut flush draw with an overcard to the tens on board. You typically don't want to get moved off, so you usually develop a polar strategy where you're betting hands that you don't care if they move you off. So you bet your 5-4 of clubs and he check raises you. Who cares? You're folding. You're drawing to just a 3, and you're not even sure if you hit your 3, it's good. He might already have you beat, with a flush. He might already have you beat with a boat. So you can see that the solver uses tons of in position bluffs, like Spencer was saying. You unlock their ability to basically put money into the pot with weak hands. So anything else you want to look at here?
No, that's it.
Like if he had our hand in position, he would be betting it. Right. 9-8 of diamonds is now betting in position, but yeah. Some king queen of hearts, some queen jack.
That's also, and we've kind of pointed this out before, right?
I'm gonna check what the line was on the turn. I need to double check. Okay, it's check. Okay, go ahead.
You're not supposed to steer someone back down a certain line of the tree when you've already started on one node. So what I mean is the design of being out of position is a high check percentage. Why? Because we don't get to realize equity and as much, I should say. And then for these reasons, right? We have to balance all of our whiffing range with the top. And the only way to do that is also to kind of unlock their ability to have bluffs in their range too. That kind of makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
right? But then if we all of a sudden go from checking node to betting node with only like our value and our range, then we're not allowing that design to happen.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The solver suggests that you should be checking pure, but like you know, once you once you learn the ropes, once you understand the game, once you understand your opponent, you can do whatever you want.
Of
This is
course.
telling you what the framework should look like based on computers playing each other, and then you need to extrapolate the information from it. Just learn basically the overarching rules to certain board textures, the overarching rules for certain stack to pot ratios, the rules for dynamic uh, equity changing cards. Um, and then once you understand where bluffs come from and how the game operates, you can say, I don't think people play like this. And then you reverse engineer it, basically. Um, okay, I just need to see this. We don't use any large sizing. So we basically are going to get counterfeited some of the time with some of our hands, and we don't really use that big of a sizing. Maybe a third is all it takes to fold out queen high and king high. Um, so I got here on the river with 9-8 of diamonds, and I chose like a really large sizing. I chose 83% or 82%. It's not even close to being used. It's just check or a third. Um, I mean, maybe because like in positions calling range is just like okay, I'm like I don't have too tough of calls. Like maybe like they struggle with like calling king high some of the time, but the target's queen high, the target's jack high. Like I'm gonna just take a look at third. Okay, the target is primarily king highs and queen highs. They're just gonna jam on you with boats, call you with the six, um, call you with ace high. That's it. They just call you with ace high, and then the king high is primarily the target. They're actually supposed to be turning king highs into bluffs on the river. Is it happening?
Can of course not, but I mean a lot of this
So
isn't
this
happening.
is
That's why.
probably very
But
effective. Then I just need to make sure that I'm betting a third when I get counterfeited because I'm just trying to
mm,
fold out king queen.
um, yeah, if you don't really care about losing to ace highs all the time, meaning when you go third, it doesn't create any indifference. I think to ace high for people. But on the flip side, can you go to button flop node real quick? Um, if sorry, can you check low jack first? Like if the low jack plays a check node real quick on the flop.
If the low jack plays what on the flop? I'm texting. I'm
Check.
chatting. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Play check right there.
Okay.
Um, so the reason why I want to do this, I want to see if like I think we can probably all agree that if someone has a 10x here, they're not checking this much a percentage of their 10x. There's no. So I wanted to check like pocket jacks and pocket and the 10x portion. Are people really checking that back in position to still have that or some of that unlocked on the river, meaning they're not capped?
Are people checking back like jacks and 10x?
Yeah, because in the solver there's a lot of it, right?
No. Yeah. So yeah, I
They're
think
pretty
people are just
balanced. So
betting
also
this.
on that river, there's like when we look at it in that lens, there should never be big large sizing because we're only targeting king highs, and if they're not so capped, then especially if we choose a large sizing on the flop, why would we target king queen O's when a lot of the times those are just folded on the flop? So in reality, is kind of what I'm saying is
Got
I
it.
do think
I got
our
confused. So
sizing
you're
is
talking
going to
about
way overperform because people aren't checking back 10x. They're probably betting a 10x here pure if we check to them. I mean,
yeah, I agree.
almost everyone is. I
Yeah.
am. Like what? Like
Yeah.
let alone checking.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
overbluff.
I don't think people are going to hold back these tens in the checking range and position.
Right. So I actually think this is a good bluff. Do we need to go 83 versus 55? I think 55 is what you said is plenty threshold even for more of the ace high folds. Um,
Fair.
but if we don't care about the ace high part, like if we're saying that's not our target, then okay, then we choose the small size.
Okay. Yeah. I don't have anything else to add. If you want to take this, and we'll do a few more, and then we'll hit the hour and a half mark, and then we'll probably wrap it up.
Cool. All right. So slightly smaller SPR than kind of the situation before. Still two-tone dynamic, so it's gonna have 70% check, 30% bet is kind of where I think our frequencies are. We have a heart, so we're blocking some backdoor hearts with the diamond, heart diamond combo. Medium-ish RNG. I think this is gonna be one to, let's see, if I go overbet, can I make this a two-street game? Unblocking spades probably is a better one to do it. I'm just trying to choose between B83 and B125 here.
There's no rush.
Yeah, I know. But I still want to think this. Without the spade, with the spade, we can go smaller. Without the spade, let's go B125. It's probably a small B125 and more B83, but fuck, not at all. I thought because it was lower SPR that we might be able to play a overbet
He was
downturn.
gonna draw out on you anyway, so good 125. Let's
See,
see.
I knew that.
Yeah, of course, of course.
That's another lesson. Bet when you know they're gonna suck out.
They're gonna hit the nuts on you to move them off of their hand on the flop. Okay, let's take a look at our frequencies.
No, even saying that out loud as a joke sounds so fishy.
I know. People will know in context.
I know, but like really saying that is, and people still really think and act that way is like with the top of their value. It's just funny that we're trying to say it because of like technical reasons, and they're saying it because they're just fucking scared.
Yeah, you're betting for the wrong reasons if you're trying to move people off of their hands.
Right.
It's uncomfortable, but yeah, I mean, we need to focus on why we're betting and not. I don't want to get sucked out on. We're trying to charge people the incorrect amount of money to continue. That's it.
Yep.
Okay, so remind me. Do you remember what frequencies you said?
70 check, 30 bet.
Okay, pretty much close. Another spot that kind of like how to develop like the strategy. It's plenty of small, but
Yeah, I forgot to mention where my bluffs come from.
it's still good now.
Yeah, but I mean, we've kind of been seeing some of these similar boards, so I mean, we know that they're got to be equity driven. So I imagine it's a lot of more of the gutters, and then the blocking of the bottom set. We don't really choose from the ace three, ace four, ace fives in these kind of situations. We don't take too much from the pocket threes, pocket fours, pocket fives, because his range is just too condensed, and we need to just pick better boards to choose those bluffs. It'd be more from the nine, like the undercard open-endeds, so jack nines and like 9/8, and then maybe the king nines, right?
Yeah, so I think we've played something similar where we needed to have some tens in our betting range, and we needed to have enough like threes and fours and enough like ace three, because we didn't have enough bluffs, I think, on flush completers. Did we do that recently, or was it a board like this?
Kind of. Well, there was one where we saw like 10/8 was in the check raise node, actually, and then
Not today. I'm not talking about today.
oh,
Like, I think it was the last time we got together. I think I said that we don't have enough bluffs if we're not like
right.
betting enough middle pairs, ace X, some weak king X, and like some threes and fours. But maybe this isn't the right spot. But I want to explore it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have what hand did you have? Ace queen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Heart.
I mean, it likes
Or diamond.
check on B83, so it likes large sizing. There still is 125.
Right, but that's why I said primarily 83.
Yeah, it's primarily 83. So let's play the hand as if you go B83, call, and we'll just do random turns. Actually, turn report. We haven't done the turn report yet. So, if you're joining us, welcome. We are just studying. We are trying to get better, and we're here for you. So, if you have any questions about any spot, let us know, please. Okay, so these are the way we're going to approach turns after we c-bet large, call on queen 10-2. We're out of position. The turn brings in one of these cards, and this is how you would play. Anything stick out to you? I have a few things that come to mind if you want me to jump in.
Go ahead. When I see this view, sometimes it takes me a little bit longer.
Yeah, I sometimes I feel like I'm gonna have a stroke when I look at all this. So
Go ahead now.
okay, so like if you start off the flop with a large bet on queen 10-2 and the in position player calls and pots, 18 and we head over to the turn. Take a look at the spades first. Okay, these are flush completers, right? Flush completers, flush completers. Notice how they don't use big sizings. When the equities shift, when somebody can basically have the new nuts, you don't need to invest large amounts of money. Okay, it doesn't make any sense because they're not folding their strong hands. Um, you're frequently going to have to occasionally give up with some bluffs, so we don't need to make large investments. You tend to make these large investments, purples and reds on bricks. You know, it's still dynamic, but notice that we're using purples on some dynamic cards. Like I mean, another flush draw comes in.
Right. Yeah. I think a good, like, just popped up in my head, a good way to phrase it is you're creating new calling thresholds for them,
Sure.
right? Because you're near now, once it shifts to the nuts, or once the nuts shift, you're now targeting a new portion of the range, right? You're not targeting a whole thing. You're targeting a very specific, because, for example, the King Jack O's, the 10X's, the pocket nines, a lot of shit that is always folding to a larger sizing because the nuts have changed dramatically. So their like the strength of their hands has also dramatically changed, right?
Yeah, and also the small sizing is effective because we can move like second pairs off of their hand with just like B55. It also works in our favor that way too, right? Like let's say somebody
True.
has like ace 10 of diamonds. We bet,
Oh,
they
yes,
call,
yes. If
and
we're
now the flush
bluffing,
comes in, and the flush comes in.
correct.
Now we can bluff with a single spade in our hand, and we're gonna easily move a 10 off of their hand.
Yeah, we're now risking less to get bluffs through more frequently.
Yeah, I think we should. I think we should just actually look at that really quickly. Actually, do you want to talk about anything else here before I change the screen?
Um, guess there's more pressure being applied to the heart also.
Yeah.
Or is that a product of pressure, or is it a product of also we unlocked more equity because a lot of our bets are equity driven?
Let's
Or
head
both?
back. Let's head back. Let's head back. So I can just take a peek. Okay, we're very selective when we bet this flop.
Right. So do we like large bet like our hearts, like the Jack 8 and the 9-8 of hearts? Are those all in the
So
large?
yeah, so like when we have hearts in our hand, we are checking 60 and we're betting 40. Okay, so I highlighted just like the suited side.
Right.
We're using a filter right now. So that's why we can double barrel the hearts for a large sizing because we actually hit that card at a high frequency. Um, if, for example, if I highlight, let's just say like the clubs and the diamonds in our range, we're checking 70. Okay, so we don't add a lot of money to the pot when we don't have um, higher equity or good turn equity. Sometimes they're just sort of thin value bets. Sometimes, ace jack of clubs bet. Sometimes we
Like,
take a look at their equity.
do we bet like our lower hearts more? Like, so for example, if we overbet the turn with 9-8 of hearts on like a fuck 6, that's still a straight flush draw. I'm trying to see if we get like ace 3 of hearts to fold on a 4. No, because that gives them a wheel too. Fuck, there's not much. Never mind.
Solver
Maybe
wants to
there's.
check ace queen. No, keep thinking. So out of position solver wants to check the ace queen on the queen 10-2 board. Some of the time. The
50% of the time.
Yeah, so like the overarching rule of this board is basically when you are out of position and you are facing an in position player, it likes to check at a high frequency. We've got a 3% edge on them. They get to, over realize our equity. The thing is, I think it's a lot of hands in our range with kind of hard. So if we're playing check and large sizing, let's just imagine that we're going to play this board as check or some large sizing. Let's call it 83%. Okay, so we're going to play check. X stands for check. So we're going to play check or 83. So if your hand doesn't fall into this category, one or the other, keep your strategy sort of as binary as you can. Make it a little bit simpler on yourself. If your pocket fives don't land into this large strategy, you probably want to check. So it makes it a lot easier to play. Some hands are going to be harder for people to play, like pocket threes with a spade. It might not be intuitive, but this is where we grab our bluffs from. When you size up with your pocket threes, or you size up with your pocket fours, they're folding pocket fives, they're folding pocket sixes, they're folding pocket sevens, and you can see that here. We bet our pocket threes, they fold fours, fives, sixes, sevens, eights, nines, and that's part of the reasons why we put in to get better to fold, right? Better to fold or worse to call, or worse to call. I guess that's what it says. Let's change that.
Lots of calls.
Lots of calls. So yeah, we are. It's a framework. It's a new framework that you need to install to view this game a little bit differently. It's not. It takes a long time. Spencer and I have been studying for like thousands of hours. I'm not sure when we met, but I met him at a casino in Los Angeles. But I'm still confused by the solver every day that I study with it. So it just takes a long time. We are just trying to view the game through an optimal lens so you can spot a mistake quicker. Oh, you're not supposed to be opening that hand from that range, from that spot. So, for example, if you see an early position player with a hand like Jack 10 offsuit, and you see it at showdown, the first thought is this guy's opening too many hands pre-flop. That's my first thought. What do I do about it? Okay, anytime he opens and I have a hand that's close to a 3-bet, I will do it pure. And we are getting sidetracked. But if I can just show you exactly. So we know that the Jack, we know, why is this showing this like this? Let me refresh this really quickly. And I'll jump back to your hand, Spencer. I'm sorry I got so
Okay.
under the gun is not supposed to have Jack 10 offsuit, right? It's not supposed to have Queen 10. It's not supposed to have King 10. It's rarely supposed to have Queen Jack. So if you see Jack 10 off, or you see a hand like Ace 8 off, they are playing too many hands. So the next question is, what do we do about it? Okay, so let's just say that we are in the cutoff. So what's our response versus an optimal player? Well, our optimal response is 3-betting at 5.4%. That is against the computer. But this player is making a mistake. The mistake is that he's playing too many hands. So what we need to do is we need to semi-bluff him more frequently. We need to move him off of too large of a surface area, or try to frame it another way. You need to drop like artillery shells on their range. They're not going to be able to defend 12 additional combos of Jack 10, 12 additional combos of Queen 10, Queen Jack, King 10, Ace 9, Ace 8. They got way too many folds in that range. And if they want to continue, we can readjust to that as well. But you basically need to start grabbing these hands that are mixed frequency calls and 3-bets, and you need to go full frequency. Now I'm going to take advantage of what you're doing wrong. And that's kind of why we're trying to look at optimal in all these spots, not so we can replicate it, just so you can spot a mistake quicker. And the easiest way for me to demonstrate a mistake is a pre-flop mistake, but once you go into turn nodes and river nodes, it's so much harder, because now you have to think, are they actually opening this range? Are they actually c-betting this range for this sizing? Do they get to the turn with these type of hands? Do they, and then it can get more complicated, but it really starts here. What mistakes are they making here? And then back to this.
Bet wider.
What's that?
Just wanted to add.
Yeah.
You're essentially just value betting wider, and you're just, like you said, whether they fold those hands or not, but you're already seeing mistake one from literally decision point one. So that same player profile is probably going to compound those mistakes all the way down through flop, turn, river. So why not just value bet wider?
Right.
For value, right?
Yeah, I think. I think another healthy way of viewing the game and is you need to add money to the pot appropriately. And so he's already making a mistake by adding too much money. He's adding way too much money to the pot with incorrect hands. So if he's adding too much money, we need to pounce on that. And you punish them by 3-betting them, by taking advantage. They have too weak of a range, and they cannot sustain a continue. Okay, I'm glad that was helpful, Jordan. Thanks, man. Okay, I'm sorry that I completely took you off course and maybe I disturbed your train of thought here. But you ended up sizing up, and you faced a call, and we were exploring turn changing cards like spades or something. But did you even go further than the flop? No. So do you want to explore a certain turn card on Queen 10-2 after we start off with a large size?
Yeah, because I do think another thing here is how do I phrases. Yeah, just kind of choosing our turn sizing, I guess, because there's going to be some where you kind of have to decide if you want to turn it into a turn and river, um, depending on SPR or like the intention behind our flop sizing also has to follow up with our turn sizing. So what I mean is, if you really want to make this a two-street game, you should be choosing pot or bigger, so you can just jam turns pretty much every fucking time. But if you allow B83, then you just unlock some more nuance, and I think you just uh just depends on, like, for example, do you want to play king queen and ace queen differently on the turn on when it's a three of clubs versus a nine of hearts, right? Because king queen still has a gutter, it blocks the nuts,
Hmm.
but ace queen is vulnerable,
Hmm.
technically a little bit more. So, like, do you want to play a shove strat and a non all in strat? That kind of stuff.
Right.
Uh, and I
Yeah.
think I think you kind of, I do it too, right? If you don't think about that slightly more on the flop, and I think SPR is a good driving point behind that, right? The smaller the SPR, you just choose the two street game a little bit more on frequently, and then the deeper SPRs you choose, more. You want equities to kind of stabilize a little bit before you put more money in.
Okay. Yeah. So in case people aren't sure, SPR means stack to pot ratio. So all you got to do is just divide your stack into the pot. You don't need to be too accurate. 1.5 is this SPR. Who cares? Doesn't really matter. And all it is it just gives you it's basically another way of like determining like value thresholds. Um,
Yep.
so when the SPR so low SPR, let's just say like maybe less than 2.5 or 3 maybe. I don't really know. 2.5.
Yeah.
2.5 and below, top pair, go with it basically. Top pair, over pairs, you're basically almost always going with it. Once it's like, let's call it like around 5, um, you can't go with every like single top pair. You need to start having stronger hands to stack off, and then as you get to like 10, for example, this is what like cash players operate in, like that type of environment. Deep SPRs, like in other words, like cash players, you're looking for sets, straights, flushes. Just another way, how to value your stack and the current pot size and how you compare it to the hands that you're willing to go broke with. Hopefully that was helpful. Any turn you want to jump into?
Yeah, like three
Let's
of clubs. So you can already see it there, right? There's some B83s versus B25s. We kind of alluded to it, but like, so for example, the ace queens here, it's going to probably be mixed sizing. Okay, it's just the one. Seeing, like, kind of this, if we choose B125 on the flop, we probably now unlock way more jams on the turn.
probably not on a brick turn. Oh no, we're still doing plenty of jam. I mean, I guess it's because the SPR is so low. It's a one SPR here.
Exactly. Right.
Um,
But that's kind of what I was alluding to right now. So if I chose to be 80, whatever choosing which size, even if it's like B55 to be 83 or pot, now you can follow on these kind of turns, right? I still think there's jamming, but on the like Padoogie completely blanks, now we can just allow some portion of the range to now make, for example, like the 10x, right? If we go for value again, maybe those creep in sometimes. Maybe some pocket jacks creep in as a second call. Maybe queen jacks would fold to the jam, but now call a second turn barrel on a blank, but not on like a jam like this.
we're already getting some tens to fold to a double to B55.
Hmm.
Yeah, like if
But that's with
we
the overbet on the flop. So
okay
like if you go B83 on the flop and then follow it up, you know,
B83 call. Sorry, what turn?
three of clubs.
3 clubs. We'll probably go another.
It's not looking like there's no jams, but you're just betting for value because now all the hearts, the backdoor hearts are going to fold, all the, so you're just targeting a portion of his range that might have folded to the jams, but we can get some value from him a little bit more. And like sometimes you got to stick your neck out, I think, right? Like, do I want to bet small? Or like, we have no idea what they're going to do to a turn B55 with King Jacko. some players are always gonna fucking call it. Some people aren't, but we block some of it. And like, where else do we want to drive value from in a non all in? You know, and
Sure.
that probably is giving them the wrong price still.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to explore?
Nah, that's all right.
Okay. Let's do another one. If anyone has any questions, let us know, please. We're gonna keep doing this. I think we've done so many of these Jack High boards. I'm gonna skip this.
Are we on like a small subset at all? Just curious.
Let's look into it because I feel like we've primarily gotten like Jack High or
Yeah,
10
we're
9.
good. Yeah, a lot of two tone Broadway shit.
Yeah. Starting on the flop, and subsets are fine. We have. I'm just gonna.
184 should still be.
I'll just do.
Yeah.
I know. I'll just do.
No, the 184 is good. It shouldn't. I just think we're getting unlucky. So I would just like click through some so we see some other different looking
Yeah.
boards.
Yeah. Let's get a different
Like this. There
texture.
you go.
Okay. All right. So low jack versus button. We're playing 60 effective single raise pot. This hand is often just the best hand at the moment. Ace King's pretty good. It's not no pair. I've got 2 overcards and 2 backdoor draws. I have backdoor spades, backdoor Jack 10, and backdoor 4-5. I'm not going to get if I start off with like a small sizing. I'm not going to get any hands like pocket fours through like eights to fold. I'm not going to get any. I don't think I play it too large of a sizing here. I think this is a pretty good example of like always wanting to bet like my pocket fours, but not necessarily having to bet my pocket jacks. As far as betting is concerned, I think I'm betting like at maybe 40% frequency, checking 60. I don't think I need to use a large sizings on these boards because I am going to want to bet sevens, and I am going to want to bet like ace 10 of spades and ace 10 of hearts and king jack hearts. And I don't think I would be getting like pocket fours or fives or sixes to fold to like a B55 anyway. So I think I'm going to start off with a third and then go from there. This is not the most frequently used option. I think this is actually a pretty good turn card for my range. Now I think the target is fours through tens. But is this the hand that I want to use against those? Because I'm still beating king jack diamonds. I'm still beating ace 10 diamonds. I don't know if this is the hand I want to use to bluff. My instinct on bluffs is going to be ace 4, ace 5, maybe pocket fours with a heart, just to try to fold out some overcards. I don't know if this is the one. Blocking his best queen, ace, queen, king, queen. Is this the one to be bluffing? I don't think it is. I don't think this is the hand I want to be bluffing. If I were to bet my hand, it's just to fold out fours through tens. I think there are other hands that I would rather do that with. Okay, you have anything to add before I explore? Okay, I'm not sure what I said for bets.
I do think there's a lot of mixed sizings on this flop, though.
This isn't the board.
I think there's going to be quite a bit of B20s. There might be some B83s, and then a decent amount of checking still.
I'm not sure how much, what frequency I said.
Because 3 Street Geo's got to be in there.
Okay.
Yep.
Like I said, I only played 2 strategies or 2 sizings post flop, and when I say sizing, that includes check. Check, you can think of check as betting 0. I think that's a healthy way of thinking about check because I think I used to have this thought of like when I'm checking, it seems weak. Yeah, generally it is weak because people primarily bet their strong hands. But just because you check doesn't mean that you're weak. You can flop top set and you can check some of the time. You can have just a top pair with one of your weakest kickers and you might want to check. So I think a healthy way this is betting 0 is what checking is. So 50%, we've got a 3% edge. The way I would approach the spot is primarily check and probably betting a third. You can take different approaches. You can play check and maybe B75. Let's see. I got ace king of spades here.
That's hard for me to do.
Yeah. What, like go to 2 instead of like taking a 3 betting
I
approach?
usually, yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to juggle 3. That's it's just preference. You can do whatever you want, you
Right.
know.
I think there's spots that are good for it, and then there's other spots where I'm just kind of, yeah, bucketing my hand accordingly as I see fit.
Right.
Kind
I
of like
mean,
your ace king of spades, I would put in the B25, B30. So I'm right in between those sizes, but
I
I
chose
don't
30,
necessarily
right?
want it. Which is what?
I chose 30, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Um, right, but I might have a button that's like right in between those, like, and then it's just to effectively have some hands that have like what you exactly had, right? I'm gonna put ace king of spades, um, some suit, maybe top set, maybe like aces, if I'm not going for three, like a couple nuanced hands, and then a lot of others just go into the check category, and then some in the large, maybe ace queen O, for example, and I'm just going
Yeah.
for three streets right away.
Yeah. I mean, I think as you have more experience, you do whatever you want. You play multiple sizings, and then you can manage yourself on like turns and rivers. I think that's a lot. A lot of strong players just do that. They just do whatever they want to do. They'll use mixed sizings. It's just something that I recommend. As you're learning a new spot, as you're learning a new node, you should generally simplify as often as you can. You're generally not going to lose expectation doing so. Um, so,
But that's the part that, like, because I agree with you, but then I struggle with that because I feel like against population we are losing expectation when we choose to go single sizing,
two sizings.
or no, a single size.
I
For
don't
example,
I don't go single. I will either play check or large, or I already said check. I
well,
consider this bet zero.
sorry, I call single check and one actual sizing. Sorry, so
No, it's fine, it's fine. But yeah, I mean, I play a binary strategy.
yeah, there you go. That's a better way to say it.
Um, so like our third sizing doesn't really fold out any pair. We're not accomplishing anything here when it comes to like these pairs here, the 4s through 10s. We're folding some middling ace x, ace 6, ace 7, ace 8 of clubs. They're not folding any backdoor type draws. Um, okay, I don't know if I have anything to add to that. I guess I should just check the larger sizing. If they're starting to fold the 4s, the 6s, the 7s, the 8s. Folding 41. Okay, let's check on bet call, and then the turn was a deuce of hearts, I believe. All right. When we get to this turn, this is quite favorable for some bluffs. It's playing a lot. It's playing a heavy check strategy on the turn on this 2, and then it's playing 12, close to 30% like size up. When I say size up, just anything above like 55%. You have a lot of options to bluff. It's not really taking like pocket fours or anything like that because we have so many options up here. Um, where do you think you naturally bluff from on the turn?
Uh, Give me 1 sec. Sorry, you can finish that
No,
thought, but I
you're
need
fine.
1 sec.
You're fine. You're fine. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm doubling easily with these hands. These hands are pretty easy for me to find. Ace 4, ace 5. The issue is you're not going to have enough bluffs if you don't start c betting them on the flop. So if you don't have ace 4 in your range, ace 5 is a c bet from out of position. So ace 4 of clubs, not super intuitive, but you have a gut shot. You can outdraw the queen. So ace 4 of clubs, I would probably be c betting at a pure frequency. Ace 5 of clubs, pure frequency. King 6 probably slightly harder. I might, rewind 6 months from today, and I probably check fold these hands on the flop. But now I know better. I know that I can c bet some of these hands at some frequency. King 5 is much better than King 6 because King 5 can turn a 4, it can turn a 6, but King 6 has to turn a 4 or a 5. As far as undercards to the queen, yeah, I think I'm just check folding, check folding. Let's just I had ace king of spades here. It is over betting with ace king of spades at a high frequency. I mean, not at a high frequency. I'm sorry. It's checking at a high frequency, but it is using this hand. And it's kind of a bluff. It's at 43% equity. something above 50 is considered value, and then below 50 is considered a bluff. I mean, we can think of this as a semi bluff. We're going to outdraw pocket sevens occasionally. Um, Maybe we've got some profitable river bluffs with our ace king. So let's just check. I'm not going to check the line that I took. I'm just going to check to see what I do once I overbet. Once we overbet, they're folding out all their like third pairs, fours through jacks, and then call. And let's just get like a brick river. Are we following through with the ace king? No, we don't. We are using our king sixes, our ace fives, our ace fours as a triple barrel bluff on the river. And if we bet, what are we trying to fold out? There's I guess we're folding out some queens some of the time. So the target on these board textures on the turn is to fold out a queen because they got uh, counterfeited. Like if they were not counterfeited, if they were beating us somehow. No, they weren't ever beating us if we had like if we're repping over pair. You need to add anything, Spencer?
Just the hearts. I think you're right. We're also targeting the floats that are from diamonds and hearts. You know, ace jack, ace 10 of diamonds, ace 10 of hearts. Um,
Diamonds,
and
hearts.
so, um,
We're getting a good
yeah,
chunk of hearts and diamonds to fold on the turn. I guess I should primarily worry about
oh, not even the
hearts.
turn. I meant the river, but to the overbet, I think yeah, there is going to be quite a bit. But and then also, yeah, I don't do this enough with the ace king also. But you know, sometimes we got to also think that we have clean outs. We're blocking their best top pair in king queen, um, and ace queen. Um, so their best calling down, and they're just literally their best top. And I mean, we're getting better at the hands of full pocket sevens. Like, are they always calling the turn? Of course not.
No, no, no. It's never calling the
It
turn.
feels it doesn't feel great, but uh, like you said, it's under 50% for some of those. So sometimes it is just like uh, I don't put it in the double barrel enough. Is kind of what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
I usually take, but I wanted to start hitting the king sixes, like you were saying too. Still kind of bucketing those overcard, low card, blocking some of their best, and then unblocking where their folds would come from in the pocket sevens, eights, nines, tens, jacks.
Okay. I don't think I have anything to add. You want to play one more hand?
Sure.
Okay. There it is, Ace King 7.
All right. So ace king rainbow boards. In general, I think we have larger sizings on the ace king X boards. Super static. Nothing's going to often change. Calling hands are going to remain calling hands, whether it's versus big or small. Auto folds are tend to often be auto folds because he has no over cards with backdoor draws on these kind of boards. Um, in reality, I do think with our nuts, we obviously could have some small sizings, but in theory, we just now bucket those into checks. So I'm going to say since we have a pretty huge advantage on these boards, uh, now this might be a unique one where it flips in terms of our betting percentage is higher than our checking percentage. That also means our bluff frequency is going to go up. So pocket deuces, threes, fours should be bluffed here almost always for large sizing. So I'm going to put this one in the check node. So maybe it's like 65% bet with our range.
65%.
Maybe higher.
Okay.
Maybe
You,
higher.
you,
7. But
yeah, you said check though, right?
yes.
Okay. Okay, here you go.
Okay. Again, like I said, not much changes in these spots. So he's still going to have plenty of king X, pocket tens, pocket nines, pocket eights. That's check back. He should probably bluff his queen jack and jack 10 of clubs. Not so much always diamond heart spade. Um, Again, these spots are kind of shitty. I do think we need to mix some check double check line as well. Here I think we can go B55.
Okay.
somewhere between B55 to B83. Our hand's just so strong. I tend to lean on the smaller side just because they're not really calling down as effective as they're supposed to. Here we just try to target the king X, the occasional pocket tens and nines. Again, somewhere between 57 and 81. Will king X call B12? I'll probably go 57 again. In game, I'll probably choose like 60.
B57.
66, yeah, but yeah, let's choose that one.
Is it hoping that they're gonna bluff?
I think so.
Okay, let's take a peek. I mean, we still have a few. We still have 3 people here, which is I might go a little bit longer, Spencer. So it's up to you if you want to stay on. You don't have to.
Yeah.
No.
No,
Okay.
I feel fine.
All right. The fact that there's 3 people here makes me want to keep going just a touch longer. At the moment, look at the pocket minute. Okay. It's hard because we have such a strong hand and we're removing such hands that can actually call. Okay, so let's just take a peek at how we play. Plenty of check. 50% check, and these boards, Ace King is a very unique board because your hands don't require protection. Like, so if you got queens here, what are you scared of? What are you protecting, right? You're not going to get an ace to fold. You're not going to get a king to fold. Like, it
Even worse
generally,
to fold.
yeah, it generally plays, Ace King boards typically play a lot of check with some large sizings. So, I mean, this part, I mean, I would basically say this spot's no different because I'm not playing a small. I'm not playing a small. I'm typically playing like this sizing, check and maybe 83 or so. Um, we are betting some like really weakish hands. He suggested like, bluffing from some low pocket pairs, which um, those are the typical ones that you bluff from. Twos and threes, you're trying to fold out pocket fours, pocket fives, pocket eights. You can eventually get a king to fold. So the target with these, with on the flop, is probably like third pairs, 7x, pocket eights, pocket sixes, and on the turn, the target becomes like the king most likely because they are likely overfolding on the turn. So yeah, you started off with a check, and then in position, this is the type of spot where are people going to be putting in a bunch of money for you? In other words, are people bluffing? Are people finding these type of bluffs? And what do you think, Spencer? Let me just highlight some bluffs. Are people going to start looking at their pocket twos and saying, "All right, it's time to start bluffing"?
Um, uh, Occasionally, very rarely, I'll say. But my only thought is just sometimes they want to fold out queen jacks, jack tens. They're trying to make pocket jacks and tens fold in their mind. So a one and done. I don't think they ever think that they plan to double barrel. So I see it occasionally. I'll say that. Do I think it's happening reliably? No, not a shot. If they don't choose to do it on the flop, they don't always just magically unlock on the turn.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sort of on the fence. Like I agree with you. I agree with like what Jordan's also saying. They may bluff if you check once or twice. You kind of feel inclined to bluff those hands. At least I know that I would be bluffing from there. I can't speak for a recreational player, but I would think that they might look down and say, well, this might be my shot to try to get something to fold. They might not know that they're targeting jacks. They might not know that they're targeting pocket tens or 7-8 of clubs, but they might try. Can't really speak for
Actually, I think something's, and we talked about this a little while ago, right? You can't necessarily always, like, once you go down one path, you can't just necessarily steer them back on the right track. So, like, for example, they have such. Can you clear this real quick? This is button range, right?
this is buttoned when facing a check.
Okay. Oh, okay, but let's just look at their second pair portion. How much does second pair make up of their range?
It's 18% of their range. They're supposed to be playing their second pairs as like 75% check.
Okay. And then versus how much is third pair, no made hand, and low pair?
Third pair, no made hand, that's 30%, another 25 is 55% of their range. If you want me to highlight it, that's what it is. Third pair, low pair, no made hand is um,
So so just thinking about this logically, not even our actual hands, right? Check, check, node. Okay. Now, do we want to target the 18% of second pair to call? Or do we want to target the 18% second pair that will bet a fair amount themselves on the turn, and third pair, low pair, no main hand can potentially bluff, versus those probably just go into auto folds versus a large delayed turn C bet. I never really thought about it that way.
when we check.
Regardless if we, right. So let's just say, right. So like, okay, it goes check, check.
Okay.
When we have our hand, right, we have top set. What the fuck are we targeting? What's going to call us on the
Okay.
turn that we think that check back the flop?
Right. I
King
mean,
X?
I think they're primarily folding. But when it goes check, I think that their folding frequency is pretty high on the turn. Are we talking
Right,
about
but
sizing
I'm
up?
just talking about strictly for value. No, no, no. I'm just like think about what are the hands are they checking back that they will now call a turn bet with that is for value.
I see. Okay. So let's just let me just explore that really quickly. Let's just go BD3 just because to keep their range as strong as possible.
Sure.
Um, they are supposed to. If
They're
this.
already well. I mean, we even think the people might not be fighting King 5, King 6, King 7 on the button as it is, right? Maybe not pure King 10-0. So their King X block is already narrow as it is.
Okay. So as far as the value hands that they have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's sets, two pair, top pair, and their second pairs are starting to fold at this point. So this is the strongest hands that they're going to have on this turn card when we
Okay,
bet again.
but we know top pair is not 15%. We're talking in this instance because we block. We have top set.
What 15 are we talking about?
Isn't this the buttons range? So they're saying top pair can be 15% of their range, but in reality, we know in this particular hand that's not true because we have top set.
Sure.
So now they're
Yeah, but it's range. I mean, when we're comparing just our range, it's still 15% of their. I understand what you're saying. We're
sure,
blocking.
sure,
We're blocking all their top pairs.
but at the same time, that's in reality that's kind of the same because do we think people are checking back top pair?
Probably not. They're. I mean, let me just see how often they're betting it in position. Top pair. I mean, they're supposed to be checking 45% of their top pairs. I can't. I don't. Go ahead.
I don't think it's that low. I think it's closer to like 80, if not pure.
Yeah.
Whether it's a small sizing or whatever, but
I'll take the middle ground. You think it's 80? I'll just say 60% or so. But yeah, most people are gonna probably bet their top pair too much, and they're not gonna have top pairs on the turn after check very often. Is that what we are agreeing on?
yeah. And do you think people are also never checking bottom set?
Um, their
Pure bet,
sets. Yeah, I mean, look,
bottom set. Yeah.
it's a pure bet in position. I don't know. I don't feel a certain strong way.
No, I mean, I think most people in today's game are. They're not like getting sneaky and just trying to make it a 2 street game, like in position. So the reason I say that is just because of like to follow up with how narrow um, of a turn value threshold they have, and what we're targeting when we choose a bet is just too narrow. And then the auto folds are still auto folds, but when we look at all the percentage of what their range is made up of, um, like check is just probably way overperforming.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. They're going to be really weak on the turn, so I think what we're getting at here is I think we need to increase our bluffs on the turn in this type of a node.
Yep. Yeah. And then
Okay.
on the flip side, our value goes into the check, double check a little bit more, and then our bluffs
Okay.
like go fucking through the roof.
Okay, I'm on board. I think this spot needs to be overbluffed. So when we're gonna highlight some bluffs, and then we are gonna decide on whether, you know, yeah. So like I think the best ones are probably gonna come from pocket twos and pocket threes for starters. That's my instinct. Check check. I think I'm gonna face a check back king some of the time, but I'm usually dealing with much weaker hands, less top pairs.
Yep, my next thought was the queen X, just so we're blocking king queen, and that's the most likely call down hand.
Sure. So what you're seeing here, if you're seeing it as a bluff, we believe that if we node lock, if we put our opinion into the solver, these hands would rise in frequency at which to bet. So maybe whenever I play this spot next and I have a hand like Queen Jack, Queen 10, Jack 10, these hands I'm gonna go full frequency no matter what the combo, and then I'm gonna also do it with deuces and threes. I think they're gonna be too weak. I think they're gonna be a little bit too vulnerable. And once I do that, then maybe I'll readjust on the turn. But if we overbet, we're trying to fold out like deuces through queens, and then I would have to check at a high frequency on the river though, because the exploit is on the turn. We believe that they have less top pairs than the solver does. Their range is primarily going to be king X, pocket eights, 7-6, pocket fives, things like that. Let's see. Do you want to see anything else? So my checking frequency on this river would be higher because I'm exploiting the turn node. Is my takeaway.
Can I just see the flop frequency for low jack of like, I want to know. Okay, Jack 10 and Queen 10, Queen Jack. So like I said, it's a check or big bet, so like I know I'm always putting ace queen O in the big bet, so I'm just kind of curious. We were looking at the check check node versus like if I just put deuces, threes, fours, and Jack 10-0 in the big betting, kind of as my main bluffs. And and then maybe like Queen Jack O is not always in there, but probably Jack 10 and Queen 10 just to make the better fold.
Right.
But then that doesn't block King Queen, so it's kind of close. Feels like.
Okay. Anything else you
I'll
looked
start
at?
pulling from there. 7x is interesting, blocking bottom set. Kind of almost affect. I mean, it performs the same as in terms of third pair, but it blocks their bottom set. So turning those into triples is something I need to do more just to make the King X fold by river, make Ace Deuce fold.
Yeah, I mean, I think we are getting a bunch of. We will be getting some Ace X to fold by the river if you start betting your deuces threes, your 7x, some Jack 10, Queen 10. So basically, this spot most likely would overperform if you increased your bluffs. Whether you want to play, whether the line plays check check, you show up to the turn, you can likely overbluff the turn, or you start off with a bluff on the flop. Let's imagine we have 6-7 clubs. Okay, so let's just so if you know you're going to be following through on turn and river, you should likely bring your sizing down. Okay, if you're very, very confident, you're like, I'm going to fire on every single turn card, maybe not an ace, maybe not a king, right? But every other turn card, if you're confident you're going to follow through, you might want to consider sizing down to keep the range as wide as possible because you plan on betting the turn, betting river. Try to get ace 8 of clubs to fold by the river. So let's try B55. Call. So let's see. I mean, the solver is going to fold some ace by the river. We know this. Like, I mean, I'm very, very confident in that. Okay, so we bet our 7-8 of clubs or 7-6 of clubs, whatever, and then we get a deuce. 7-6 of clubs continues to follow through because we are going to get a better hand to fold. We're going to get pocket eights to fold, pocket nines to fold, and we're going to get some king X to fold on the turn. All right, so we'll go B83 and call. They're folding their eights, their nines. They're actually already starting to fold the king on the turn to a B50, B83. No ace is folding, and then let's just do something like this.
In reality, I think there is some already on the turn.
I agree. And then we're all in with our 6-7. Remember, this is a bluff. Okay, we're not betting. It has 9% equity chance to winning, so we move all in on the river, and we're gonna get some ace X to fold. According to the solver, we're barely
Yeah,
getting
ace
any
10.
ace-x to fold.
Yeah, that's
Let me put a different card. Let's do like let's do like an
reality. It's just reverse.
yeah. I don't think people are just holding on to their ace-x, and it doesn't really matter which one I put. I think it's going to be very similar.
I
Barely,
know, but we
barely
just see
folding.
all their suited like. So just to say it for out loud for everyone, right? Like because the solver wants the ace three, ace four, ace five. Like those all perform better as calls because it unlocks their queen 10 and queen jack bluffs. And so that's why ace 10 is now indifferent, but the pure ace, smaller ace X's are called. But
Right.
in reality, I think most people just value their top pair linearly. So, right. So when we get to the river after call, call, they're just going to fold ace three, ace four, ace five, whatever percentage we want to give them. We think if we say it's high, 80% to all the time, right? And then it just goes up from there.
Yeah. So I think that's a pretty good point to bring up. So because the solver chooses to bluff from hands like Jack 10 off, I'm just reiterating what you're saying. Because we are bluffing from these cards here, Queen Jack, Jack 10, things like that. That's the reason Ace 10 becomes a fold because when you're sitting in position and you look down at your Ace 10, the thought process is supposed to eventually get to, well, where do his bluffs come from? And they come from Queen 10, Jack 10. So having a 10 is terrible. It reduces our bluffs. It reduces the frequency at which we're bluffing. So when you look down at Ace 8, theoretically, this is a better call than Ace 10, even though Ace 10 has a stronger kicker, and that's an important takeaway. Um, and I'm glad you brought
Right.
that up. Um,
Yeah.
okay. Um, how long have I been on this thing? We are at the 2 hour mark. Okay. Let's do one more. So I can. If you're here from Twitch, I would really like to know. So please let me know. Maybe I'll reach out to you. My information is down below. So I would really like to know if you're here from Twitch, if you're here from YouTube. Either way, um, my information's down there if you ever want to get in contact with me. Okay. King 7-3 Rainbow. We had a similar board. We did like Queen 2-3. I'm gonna do something that we just haven't done. You just did something like that. We haven't done something like this. This plays B50 and check. Let's keep going. I want to look for something a little bit different. I think this one's different enough. Okay, we're gonna end on this one, I think. Thanks for jumping on, everyone. Spencer, thanks for being on here. Okay, Ace 5-4. So the first thought I'm having is we have to have a checking range. The reason I think we have to have a checking range is we have so many hands that don't necessarily connect well. It dilutes our equity strength. So when we have a hand like Jack 10 offsuit, 9-8 of diamonds, I know, King Queen off, Queen Jack off, pocket sixes, pocket sevens, all these hands aren't necessarily thrilled to play a large pot. A lot of our hands aren't going to be playing 3 streets. Pocket kings, pocket queens, pocket jacks. Even when we have a hand like ace 9 suited, we're not going to be playing 3 streets. So we are going to be checking. With this hand in particular, this is nut, no pair. So I'm dominating some hands in his range, like Queen Jack diamonds, King 10 clubs, inferior flush draws like 8, 9 of spades. I think this hand is probably just good enough to put in a checking range. I think that's fine if you wanted to bet this hand. I think it's slightly better to check. A 2 on the turn. How many threes does this guy have? Ace 3. There's no king 3. There's no like 3-4 pocket threes. It's sort of an irrelevant turn card. Pocket 2s gets there. I'm going to keep checking. I should probably be thinking about where I'm like bluffing from. He goes for a really small sizing. I'm not folding. I'm just wondering like what am I supposed to do with other parts of my range. So like if I had kings, if I had queens, I'm just going to check call. I'm occasionally going to have pocket threes here. I'm occasionally going to have like a set of 2s here. I think we primarily want to be playing check call. When we get to the 6 here, I'm just going to check and give up. and he finds the overbet. Um, Anything that you want to discuss before I pull it up?
Uh, no, I think the only thing that popped into my head was on the turn. So when we get there, I'll kind of.
Okay. Yeah. So like our sizing on the flop is pretty much going to be small. I don't think like, okay, can you bet your ace king for a larger sizing? Yes, you can. But remember, we just have a lot of ace x. We're gonna have like, you know, ace six of clubs. We're gonna have pocket sevens, pocket kings. Um, so
Yeah, I'd probably
I don't
take
know
a
what a
lot of
large.
quarter sizing.
Yeah, I don't know. A large sizing doesn't really accomplish much. The board is sort of draw heavy, but you can consider it. Sure, it's like draw heavy. It's not that dynamic. This is like static, right? A top pair is going to remain top pair. Of course, there's bad cards, 2, 3, and a spade, but usually you don't use large sizings on these
I think
type of
this is
board
gonna be one
textures.
of those. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of check and B25s, and you know, and then trying to remember the point I was gonna add, but once we get to the turn, I think he'll be.
Yeah. So high frequency check. Okay. So yeah. So I would basically be playing like B25, kind of what you're mentioning. B25 and check. Remember, there's really no use for these larger sizings. You're not going to get an ace to fold. You're not going to get a five to. You might get a five to fold, but not for B55. You're not going to get sevens to fold. You're not going to get spades to fold. Remember, you've got kings in this range, queens in this range, jacks in this range, weak ace X in this range, ace six clubs, ace seven clubs. You primarily want to check. We have 2% advantage here. We'll start off with a check. We got king, queen of spades. In position gets to play a little bit polar. So he gets to size up. We don't get that luxury, but in position does. They get to use some weak hands. So some weak hands that they choose to use. 9-7 clubs. Right?
These are where our bluff should come from in the check node as well.
We don't do we have this hand?
We have some suited eights and I think a couple connectors right there on the sevens. It's like A7, King 7, and then 9-7, 10-7.
Okay. Yeah, let me go
Yeah.
back. Let me go back. Okay. Yeah. So we do have these hands. Sure.
8, 7, 10.
Yeah. I think we will get to bluff some of these hands. Just fold out better King X, Queen X. So yeah, we'll definitely explore that. But in position gets to start bluffing with some weak hands. 7-8 of clubs, gut shot. 9-8 of clubs, 9 high, drawing to running 6-7. So another, make sure you understand that heuristic, right? In position gets to be more polar. You don't want to sacrifice your positional advantage. You don't want to get moved off of maybe like a king, queen of hearts. So you want to make sure that you're checking that. You can hit a jack, hit a 10, hit a king, queen, hearts. You don't want to get moved off of that. So try to stay polar generally. When we get to the turn here, I've got king, queen of spades. I guess you're putting in a tiny value bet some of the time. Let me check the equity. It's 55. It's a value bet. You're betting really small. You're not trying to fold out an ace.
Yeah. Good equity denial too.
Yeah, make them fold like a 9-8 or something like that.
Yeah, Jack 10 of clubs.
Yeah. We have some 2x sizings here. I'm not ever gonna find this. Just 7-8 of clubs, just 2x overbetting. What are we accomplishing by 2x overbetting? I don't think I've ever would have came up with that. But look at this fold. 67% folds. That is really wild, actually. I'm glad this is the last hand that we're doing. If we bring up the math behind overbetting, I think people can quickly figure out why this is a good idea. So if you're not incorporating an overbet, you're basically risking 14 to win 21. So it's 14 divided by a pot that you stand to win. And it only needs to work 66% of the time, or in other words, the in position player or the defender needs to defend 34% of the range. So if you highlight the 200, they're supposed to be defending 34, and they are defending 33.5. It actually gives us, we don't even need, it's actually giving us a 0.5% mathematical advantage, not including our skill edge. It doesn't include our blockers. It doesn't include anything. It imagines the math assumes that you are folding and throwing your cards into the muck the moment that they call. Okay, but we're actually choosing some blockers, unblockers. We're choosing hands with some gut shots, like 7/8s. So this will print money in this theoretical. I mean, not in this theoretical land, but I think hopefully I'm getting that point across. So this mathematical edge against the solver is 0.5 because they're not continuing enough against this large sizing. But the math assumes you release your hand. The math assumes that you're not going to occasionally make a good intelligent bluff on the river. The math assumes that you don't have blockers, you don't have unblockers. So we are using some interesting hands on this turn card. It's not a lot of combos. It's literally 5 if you add all these up. But 7/8, 9/8. You're just trying to get them to fold some high cards. It's using some flush draws. These are some value hands, but that is interesting. No made hand. Yeah. Anything you want to add here? Not that I said, I'm not playing the strategy here at all. I'm just like,
No, but I'm glad you did the math behind it, right? Like that's the whole premise and principle behind it. It doesn't matter if you actually choose B200, B150, B125, or even pot itself. I mean, it's right. Do people defend the correct amount? Period. And usually, even if you do a soft calculation and kind of just look at ranges, the answer is almost always no against most players we see.
Yeah.
So even in this spot, we just choose pot. You're probably getting the same exact results as 200.
Right.
In
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah.
But it's still the fact, right? It's the extreme that if you do choose B200, look how like not so crazy it really seems on when you do the math, because
Right.
are people somewhat folding 30 is this much? Yeah, probably. Fuck yeah. So like, okay, now you just put that in your game and you've instantly leveled up and
Yeah.
are finding money in situations that you wouldn't have before.
Yeah. So like the same way casinos operate, we're just laying a price, right? All we're doing is laying a price, and you can either defend that right with the right amount of
Deal or
combos.
no deal.
Yeah, it's just we're just the blackjack dealer, we're just the casino, and that's how a professional player would operate, right? We just know what our bets are trying to accomplish, and we think that mathematically they cannot defend it. Then we want to always bluff, and our cards don't really matter anymore. If they can't meet the mathematical defense frequency, the cards don't actually matter anymore. But we intelligently choose cards to swing
Those combos in our favor.
yeah, we swing things more in our favor. We're intelligently choosing 7/8 because we're trying to get king queens to fold, queen jacks to fold, jack tens to fold, 9/8s to fold. And we're still occasionally going to hit the nuts occasionally. When we spike it. But that's enough for me. I need some water. We're going to wrap up here. Thank you everyone for joining. Hit me up if you ever want to do this